Hey, Beamer Dad here, and I love my 335i. The N54 is a great engine. I do have an automatic X-Drive, and I love the automatic 6-speed. It's wonderful, great transmission, holds a lot of power. There's only one thing that I've found lacking about the car recently, and that's the cooling system. So cooling systems on these things have been known to have leaky hoses, water pump failures every 60,000 miles, stuff like that, thermostat failures, and I think I'm dealing with my first issue here. So I've had a small coolant leak recently, and I've been trying to narrow it down. I posted online, and the first thing anybody says is, "Oh, it's a head gasket. It's a head gasket." But that's not always the case, especially with N54s. I know personally a BMW mechanic that's never replaced a head gasket on an N54. It's always something simpler. It's always either the water pump, the coolant expansion tank, or it's the oil filter housing gasket. So I think that mine's probably the oil filter housing gasket, and I decided to do a little bit digging today and found that there's a little bit of an issue with my oil cap. So I'm going to show you guys what's going on there. Yeah, it's never ran into something like this before. So as you guys can see, I got my oil cap off with my great oil filter cap tool, and it came out like this. So my oil filter's in here, and the whole inner part of that oil cap that the cartridge goes around is stuck inside. I'm not sure if that's due to over torquing. I have not changed the oil on this car yet, and it hasn't even hit 3,000 miles since I've owned it. So I'm not really sure how that happened, but I was reading online that this can actually cause some big issues, because this spring in the front here is important for oil return to the head, and if you don't have that, the head gets crappy oil, and it can cause lifter tick, which mine actually had for a little while. So maybe this will cure that issue. So this should go back in. So they are able to be put back in. So I'm going to put this back in and see if it works. If not, I'll be ordering a new cap from FCP Euro. Alright, so I'm going to stick this oil filter insert back in on the cap. These little plastic pieces that you can see in there around, those actually clip into the top of this. A lot of people online were saying that there is a possibility that these could break off if this isn't done correctly. So I want to make sure that it's nice and secure, because I don't want plastic going into my oil. That would not be good. So let me do that. So it snapped back into place rather easily. All you have to do is kind of twist it. I twisted it about counterclockwise, and then it snapped right in. This is definitely weird that comes off. It's not really meant to be removable, and there is a little bit of play in it. However, from what I've read, even the ones that come right from the factory have some play. So I'm going to reinstall this and see how it goes. Alright, so now I'm going to put my oil cap back on, now that the filter and everything's in place. I know I should put a new filter on there, but I'm about to change the oil filter housing gasket just in case that's where my coolant leak's coming from. So I'm going to do all of the oil and a brand new filter when that happens. So there is some people say that the coolant can possibly get into the oil during that. So I'm going to make sure that it's fully empty, and I can just drain it out and get everything out of there and fill it up with fresh oil. Also going to be doing a coolant flush, and please stay tuned for that video, because we'll be going through the coolant flush procedures and some pressure testing as well to make sure that leak's taken care of. These oil filter housing gaskets, they're really a flaw on these cars. If you have a BMW, I don't care if it's an M54, an N20, even our E84 X-Drive has an oil filter housing gasket. They all go out between 80 to 100,000 miles. This one's never been replaced, so that needs to get done. So save yourself some money. from a costly repair, or going through everything thinking that your engine's going to blow because you're leaking a little bit of oil or whatever, and go ahead and get that done. So I'm going to replace this. And I do really recommend everyone get this tool from FCP Euro. Of course, I'm doing this left-handed. So just a little tight. It doesn't have to be crazy. Especially because I don't want to break that filter off again. Alright, so that's good. So you might have noticed that there was a little bit of oil around the oil filter housing. So that was due to, when this happens, the oil gets stuck up in there. So there's a lot of pressure buildup. So when I popped it off initially, before I showed everybody what was going on, oil came out of everywhere. It seeped down onto the belt. Now the belt is bad, but we're about to replace that anyway. I talked a little bit about how the oil filter housing gasket needs to be replaced. Around 80 to 100,000 miles, regardless if it's leaking or not, it's gonna leak. It's just an inevitable thing that you're gonna have to deal with. The belt's the same way. The belt can leave you stranded really quick. There's lots of stories of the tensioner failing and you throwing a belt and having to get towed somewhere because the belt throws. So I actually ordered some from FCP Euro. They're already here. That's gonna go on about the same time. So that'll come out this weekend. I'll put a video, as well as I'm gonna do some FCP Euro reviews because I love that company. This is no way a paid advertisement. They're just a really good company with a great warranty. So I'm gonna do a kind of a review of their packaging and their products, and how I think that you can save thousands of dollars by using them for all your BMW and other European makes as well. So Mercedes, I think they have Volvo and some other stuff like that. So yeah, well, thanks for checking out the video. Like, comment, and subscribe for more stuff like this. Hopefully this cap separation thing doesn't happen to you, but if it does, no big deal. I will caveat that though, not all of them are replaceable. Some of them, if they break off, you need a whole new cap. That's not the case here. So I'm gonna go ahead and not order a cap and just get the oil filter housing gasket in and then replace that. Thanks for watching.